Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So we have reached the far edge of this pass, but yeah, we're not going to get it all filled in before the end of the month. That is just not happening because yeah, it's I did the math and it would be exactly 77,000 stitches and we're just over 75,000 stitches. So yeah, I'm not going to get 2,000 stitches done before the end of the month, as this is my last session this month. So yeah, there's no way that's going to happen. Like I said, if I hadn't lost almost a week worth of stitching time in between days lost to our trip and days lost to my neck flare up, yeah, maybe I would have made it. But so I'm thinking maybe I won't bother making predictions anymore because I just don't seem to be able to achieve them. I think this is like the third month in a row. So yeah, I think I'm just stressing myself out unnecessarily. And like I said, there's no deadline, as I'm not giving this away as a gift or anything. So, oops, my spreadsheet is estimating May of 2025, but who knows? Yeah. Like I said, maybe if I stuck with just stitching this one piece, I'd be able to make it, but I have other projects I like to work on too, so there's that. Yeah, I actually cast on with knitting for a new blanket because it's been figure skating season has started and I've needed something to knit, and I can knit without looking at my hands for the most part. So yeah, I'm making one that's stripes, and it's kind of like a scalloped kind of pattern, so I may show you updates in my update posts eventually. Right now I just have like one row done, so there's nothing to see. I think each repeat is like 12 rows, so yeah, that one's going to be a long-term project. I finally cast off my sweater, my circular sweater, and I tried it on, and I don't know how thrilled I am with the fit. Yeah, whether I'm going to bother actually blocking it and weaving in all the ends or not. I may just, yeah, we'll see. It took me forever, but I don't know if I'm actually happy with how it fits or not. Maybe at some point I'll put some pictures up on my Insta and see what everybody thinks, because yeah, if I block it because it's acrylic, you're basically kind of melting it into place, and sort of once you've done that, it's kind of committed. So yeah, I'm not sure whether I want to. If it turns out I decide not to keep it, then I can just unravel it and use the yarn for something else. But I do have a lot of yarn though, so it's not like I'm hurting for it. But I mean, at the same time, I don't really want it to sit in my closet and never be used. So yeah, I've knit a lot of garments, but I find I end up not wearing them as much as I used to. Blankets get more use. And lately I've been kind of finishing blankets, and I keep them in my closet for when I need to give a gift to someone. Because who doesn't like a handcrafted blanket, right? Yeah, it is a gloomy day today. I got my drapes open all the way, but it is overcast. There is not a bit of blue sky to be seen. Snow on the ground has melted, basically. There's just a couple patches here and there, but yeah, it was a cold one. I had to bundle up. It's hard to find the balance too because I wear glasses, so if you cover up your nose and mouth, it keeps you warmer, but then my glasses steam up and I can't see. I kind of had to pull my cowl down to like it's just under my nose, so it's kind of warm when I breathe in through it, but when I breathe out, it isn't fogging up as much. Yeah, I kind of had to find like the exact, a millimeter the wrong way, and it wouldn't have worked. but kept me warm and I was able to do my walk, so it's all good. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm working more sort of horizontal at the moment, less diagonal. It just kind of worked out that way. That's the way the colors are going, so I followed it as per usual. Goodness, having a hard time finding the parking spot, so to speak. So yeah, we're going to fill in some of this, then I'm going to come over to the left and fill in some more. Again, as my usual method. Make sure I grab the correct purple thread here. Grid lines help me with that because I was about to grab that one and realize, no, it's too far from this bottom grid line, so that cannot be correct. Okay. So some bigger blocks. It's kind of a mix here. Blocks of color and some confetti should keep things interesting, I think. Yeah, it was funny. I shared this meme yesterday. I was talking about, you know, movie night in 2001, and it was like said, you know, you have to turn your TV to like channel 2. Ours was 3, but so the VCR works, you know. Then the sound of the package opening, you know, the big plastic clamshell, great, and put in the movie. Maybe you got to rewind it, and then it's quieter than the TV, so you turn it up, and then it, you know, gets really loud, like coming soon to own on, you know, on video cassette. Says, oh, you turn it back down, but then you can't hear the trailers, so you turn it back up. When the trailers end, you end up with the big THX, you know, sound, right? And it was funny because people were talking about that sound, and of course I went down a rabbit hole after that of finding out the origins of it. And actually it was pretty cool because apparently it started in 1983 with director George Lucas, because he went to preview Return of the Jedi, and when they went to a local theater preview it, the sound was so awful that he said he thought that they brought the wrong tape, that it wasn't the, like, you know, the proper cut. And it was, and they said, like, you couldn't hear the soundtrack, you couldn't hear the crickets in the background kind of thing. Like, it was just, the voices, people sounded like they were mumbling from inside like a garbage can or something. Like, it's just awful. And you know, he said half of the experience is the sound, which, yeah, he's right. And so he decided they were going to develop a standardized sound system, because they said in those days a lot of theaters had not updated their technology since the 40s. So there was, you know, a lot of them were just in mono sound, not stereo, and it was just like one big speaker at the front of the theater, maybe the back, but it was not good. And so he worked with someone, and it's called THX because TH was the guy's initials. It was Thomas something. I'm blanking on his last name. But, and then X for experiment. So, yeah, they did that. And before Return of the Jedi came out, 4 theaters in the US had installed this THX system. And that sound you hear is like actually the test notes of all the different frequencies, starting from the low rumble up to the higher. And yeah, so I thought that was really cool, because I mean, that basically revolutionized the industry. And yeah, so they said you don't really hear it as much now because things have gone to Dolby sound more, but yeah, I thought that was really cool, because for me, THX was always a fact of life. I was born in 81, so yeah, it's by the time, you know, I was old enough to watch movies, that was just a standard part of every movie you watched, right? And it's funny because there are people said they found that sound scary, but I always found it really satisfying. Yeah, it was like, that's the signal. That's the movie sound, right? Time to strap in for a story. And plus, like in the theater, it's such a deep surround sound that it makes all the hairs on my arms stand up. And yeah, it was really satisfying. So yeah, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I always loved it. It was a sensory experience for me. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too, because then I was reading about frizzen, which is when you get the, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's when you get the goosebumps or the shivers from music and stuff. And apparently not everybody experiences that. And I'm like, wow, I feel bad for people. That's part of the experience, right? My son says he doesn't feel it, but both my husband and I do. So I said, oh, it's just amazing, especially when you have like headphones on and it hits just the right note. Yeah. One of the reasons I like listening to opera, especially the tenors, is that happens a lot. Yeah, it's interesting talking about different sensory things that don't exist anymore. Like somebody said, when you turned off the TV and it used to do that like implosion and crackle, and then you could like drag your fingers through the dust and it was all staticky and yeah, give you shocks. Yeah. Somebody said twist in the phone cord while you're talking. Although I don't know, I have a couple people who still have landlines. But yeah, I said like a lot of kids these days won't know why we say hang up the phone, because the phone used to be mounted to your wall and you literally hung up the receiver to end your call. Yeah, we still have our old landline number, although technically it's not really a landline anymore. It's a internet, but it's got the same number. Yeah. But I said hardly anybody ever calls on it unless it's a telemarketer. Ooh. But I always worry if I get rid of it, there may still be somebody out there that's their only contact number they have for me, and it's not like cell phones are listed in a phone directory, right? So yeah. Okay, so I said maybe 24.5%. We're at 24.46. So, yeah, that means 0.04, which means that's about, trying to think here. I think that means it's about 120 stitches, if my math is correct, which I don't guarantee that it is. Yeah. Yeah, something like that, about 120, 130 stitches. So I think we could reach that during this session today. So won't be quite the 25% I was hoping for. But yeah, I did the math. I was off what I said the other day. About 76,000 to something would have been 25% done. And if I'd managed to fill in this entire pass, it would have been 77,000. So that would have taken me over 25% done. But yeah, like I said, that ended up not happening. So I'll definitely have it done for the end of the year. I'm pretty comfortable saying that. Yeah. Because yeah, in a month to do just a couple thousand stitches that's easy for me. So yeah, I usually manage about anywhere from 10 to 15,000 on my main project, and then anywhere from 2 to 5,000 on my secondary Firefly project. So yeah. But yeah, I was trying to make 1% per month happen on Firefly, and I haven't managed that in months either. So like I said, maybe I won't bother with predictions. I just work on it and watch it slowly come to life. Once I start the next pass, that'll mean changing a bunch of the colors in my working tray, because I won't have any purple. It's going to be grays and blues, because I get some of the water and some of the hills around the water, and there's also going to be a bit of the lighthouse. I did the very top of the pardon me, the top of the roof of the lighthouse on my last pass, so now I'll get the bottom of the lighthouse, and there's some smaller sailboats too. And then we get into the peacock's neck and chest, which should go quite quickly because it's like 4 colors there. Yeah, so 4 or 5, so they go really fast. Okay, so I could add some more there. I'm not sure. Yeah, I will add it there. Let's see. Okay, 3608. Don't know why I haven't put this one out in my working tray yet. I really should have. So there's a fair amount of it here, so that's what I'll do now. So last session I stitched a bit sort of sloping the other way because of the shape of the leaves. Now I'm sort of back on my normal slope, but again, I can see the colors are starting to go the other way, so I may, again, readjust and follow them. Sort of decide as I get there. Yeah, hard to believe that it is almost December. I said, this is going to be our first Christmas without my husband's mom. That's fairly sad. We live far apart, so we generally didn't get together at Christmas because we didn't like driving during the winter, especially because between BC and Alberta, you have to take the Coquihalla Mountain Pass, and it's, yeah, like even in the summer, it can be quite treacherous. There's sometimes still snow up there because it's high enough. And yeah, when we traveled a couple weeks ago to go back to say goodbye before she passed, yeah, we had some fairly nerve-wracking road conditions for a while up in that mountain pass. Yeah, it was pretty darn slippery. Made me nervous. So we usually kept our trips to the summer, where often it's bare, or if there is some snow, it's not too bad, because yes, sometimes it gets bad enough in the winter that they actually have to close it. They have avalanche cannons and stuff, and yeah, it can get pretty hairy. We had one year we were traveling in the winter, and yeah, they had to close the highway down because a car carrier jackknifed and scattered cars all across the highway. Thankfully, nobody was hurt, which is the most important thing. But yeah, it took them a few hours to clear that. And oh, I remember at one point we were between these two semis and they started sliding towards each other. Oh my gosh, my heart was in my throat. Oh, I was so nervous. Yeah. They make the big trucks put on chains past a certain point between, I believe it's October until April. So yeah, it gives you an idea of how long that bad snow lasts. Yeah, and we could fly, but we discovered that flying cost us almost the same as driving, and we kind of prefer driving because you can stop when you want to, right? Yeah. Especially when our son was little, you know, we would stop and pull over when we saw a playground or something and let him get out of the car and run around for a bit, burn off some of that energy. Yeah. And he would sometimes sleep in the car, but he would not sleep on the plane. I remember we flew with him when he was about a year and a half old. We did go back to his parents' place for Christmas that year. And, oops, wrong one. And, yeah, our plane home, like, it was late. It was like 1 a.m, and the flight attendants were like, I can't believe he's still awake. And I'm like, there's too much going on. He's not going to sleep. There's a big fear of missing out on that one. Yeah. As soon as we got off the plane and into the truck, I buckled him in, and like 2 minutes later, he was out. But as long as we were in the plane or in the airport, there was too much for him to see. Too many bright lights. It was too exciting. And, yeah. Oh, I remember we, after we got off the plane, and my husband went to go get the truck from the parking because it had been, you know, a week or a week and a half. So he had to take the shuttle out to it and bring it back to us. And my son, he wanted to walk around. Well, first he wanted me to carry him and walk around. I'm like, dude, it's like 2 a.m. and I'm exhausted. I'm not doing that. You're too heavy, you know? So then he wanted to walk around. He wouldn't stay in one place. And, of course, he's, you know, not even 2. So, of course, I can't let him walk around by himself. And I can't leave our bags. So there I am, dragging the bags behind me going, come on, dude, can you just sit down? Like, I'm so exhausted. But, oh, yeah. It's like, oh, for Pete's sake. Ooh. But if I tried to make him sit with me, you know, he would have screamed the whole place down, which would have been really sucky and inconsiderate to everyone else there. So, oh. Yeah, so that was sort of why after that trip we said, yeah, we're not flying again. That is a huge pain. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of flying. I'm not scared of it, but I get more motion sick when I'm flying than versus driving. So, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately get motion sick fairly easily, which really sucks. It's not so bad when we drive, especially when we drive in my husband's truck, because I find the bigger the vehicle, the less I feel ill. Although I always am prepared with, yeah, my pressure point wristbands and stuff to help try to settle everything. But yeah, and I have to sit in the front seat too. I sat in the back seat before and I was so ill. Yeah. So. Okay. Yeah, like I said, a lot of this color is slanting over that way, so I may start following it. I'll sort of decide as I work there. Let me just sort of, yeah, I've got sort of some leaves and stuff cutting across here, and so we shall see. It sort of depends how many colors I have too. When there's a lot of colors, I tend to follow the direction of the pattern more, so I have fewer live needles, but yeah, when there's not as many, I can sort of get away with switching colors more often. So did that not? Oh, look at that. I missed crossing that one. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay, well, it is parked right here. Yeah, I noticed that top leg did not look the same as the others because it turns out it's missing the top leg. That's why it's going in the wrong direction. That's funny. There we go. Yeah, there's always one or two that I miss. like I said, I guess that's one of the drawbacks of not crossing each X as I go, as it makes it more easy to accidentally miss crossing one of the X's, but this is just how I've always preferred to stitch. So, yeah, your mileage may vary. Oop. Darn. I may have been off with my stitch estimate of how much it'll take me to get to 24.5, but let's see if I can manage it during this session or not. Yeah, and then it'll soon be time to take this out of the frame and show you the whole thing for my monthly update. Oh wow, I saw a picture somebody had in the Heaven and Earth Designs Facebook group. They're doing a supersized matte color in their parking, and they're working on 40 count linen, which is just like, wow, mind blowing to me. Yeah, the smallest I like to work on is 18 count. So yeah, 40 count is just wow. The highest I saw somebody said they were working on was a 72 count even weave, which is just even more mind-blowing. How do you even see it? Even with magnifiers, that seems like it would be just way too tiny. Yeah, there was someone saying that one of the benefits of working on such a high count is they don't even have to really tie off their threads. The thickness of them is enough that they kind of hold each other in place. I'm like, I'd be so nervous not tying off my threads, but I guess they're right. There isn't much fabric to bury them in, unless you don't do pin stitches and you do all of them as drawing across the back, but then things might get quite thick. So yeah, because that's one of the reasons I like pin stitches too, is it also cuts down on the bulkiness, I find. Okay, this purple's a little darker, so I'm gonna draw this along the back. So yeah, I usually keep the drawing along the back because I don't want it to show through. Or my other one is if it's close to the edge, I don't want the trimmed ends to extend past the edge of the design there, especially darker threads. You don't want them to risk them showing through. Okay, we're at 24.47. So about another 100 stitches or so should do it. Yeah. So still waiting for my kids' Moopsy toy that I bought for Christmas to show up. It's supposed to show up today, so we'll see. Yeah. They haven't made an official one, so I had to buy some knockoff that some company made, but yeah, I hope he'll like it. That was from the lower decks. I mentioned it in a previous video. Yeah, it makes this adorable little white looking like Pokemon character. This is Moopsy, and it's actually really scary, and yeah. Yeah, it's like deceptively adorable because it's actually scary. Okay, just let me see. Yeah, this is a fairly long one, so rather than add another thread, I'm probably going to carry that one around. So first I'm going to fill in what's to the left of it, as per my usual. Okay, and then, I mean, I will have to add another when this thread runs out, but I might as well use it up until I get to that point. Sometimes I kind of end up stitching in weird directions, depending on where I want my thread to be when I'm done. This way, I don't have to juggle two threads in the same area. Use this one up, then start another one to continue onwards. Get that needle to come up in the right place, that is. Those threads are there. They were twisted, so just coaxing them to lie side by side again. So yeah, like I said, I kind of fell out of the habit of railroading. So when I do get a twist, I just fix it. But I find I don't get twists that often, so. Or at least not that I notice, so. Okay, just deciding where I want to go next. All right, I think I'll just, yeah, come over to that corner and work my way out. So, still keeping things slanted this way. That may change as I get further along. Oh, that's one less thread now. Okay, I'm gonna check this other thread here. I think, yeah, that's a short one. I thought so because I could see I had a pin stitch there tacking it down, which means it's usually, I do that when it's either a really short thread or it's a little further away than I normally carry. And I just kind of do a single pin stitch to tack it down so it doesn't get pulled loose. But since that's a short one, park that here, do it with this thread. So instead of slanting the other way for now, I may just sort of fill in this square and then fill in this square, cut it off there, and then continue on downwards. We'll see. Like I said, there's no hard and fast rule, just what I feel like doing, what makes sense to me at the time. Okay, so I've done 100 stitches and I'm at 24.48. So, yeah. So I'd say less than 100 will probably take me to 25 or 24.5 even. Yeah, I wish it would take me to 25%, but that ain't happening. It was so short I could barely pin stitch it, but managed. It's a little longer than I thought it would be, but it's kind of a ways to park this, so I'm going to tie this off and then reattach it later. Yeah, or I may cut this off just before the grid line. It kind of depends because I don't kind of feel like adding, there's this thread I'd have to add here for one stitch and then park, and I'm not sure I'm going to do that. So like I say, this is why I adjust as I stitch, because I kind of can't hold all the possibilities in my head of what could go where, so figure it out as I go. Yeah, I've always been one of those people who kind of learns by doing. I can read the instructions or the theory all day long, but I'm not really going to get it until I can actually do the hands-on, I find. that's when things really start to click. Diagrams help a lot, for sure. I guess, like I said, I'm visual, but yeah, it's still, sometimes I can't visualize it until I've actually started doing it. So I may start slanting this over here too because of the way that pink is. Like I said, I haven't committed yet. Oh, that didn't work. Yeah, I only had one strand instead of both. Yes, and as I'm stitching with 2 strands, that is just not going to work unless I have both strands in place. Okay, so we're at 24.49. So yeah, like another 30 or so stitches should take us to 24.5. So both of these are fairly long threads, but it's closer to reach those two with this thread. So this is the one I will park. The other one I will tie off. I may end up just going actually below this grid line now. I think that might work a little better for the moment. Yeah, that did not happen. Okay. Tie that one off. Oh, I think my parcel's here. I don't need to sign for it, so I'll just leave it. We'll see. Yep. Okay. 208. Yeah, actually I ended up going below that grid line. The further I got into stitching this, the more I realized that that seemed to make more of a natural flow than stopping above that grid line, so that's what I'm going to do. Like I said, I may start sloping this the other way and follow the colors. I'll just sort of decide as I go. So yeah, that was actually not my parcel. My husband came home early. Yeah, I wasn't expecting him home for about another 40 minutes or so, but oh, it's kind of nice because he can set his own schedule somewhat. So yeah, it's flexible. Yeah, he really likes that because his previous job, they really micromanaged everything. And yeah, this one, his boss just said, as long as you get everything done when it needs to be done, we're good. So yeah, everyone's happy that way. And my husband is good at managing his time. So, yeah, hasn't been any problem, and he's been there, a while now. 2018. Yeah. Yeah, so actually cutting it off around here, a couple below this grid line actually sort of makes more sense. So he's here, but he knows I'm filming, so he knows not to talk to me till I'm done. I'll be done soon, but yeah. Like I said, I want to try to bring it to 24 and a half. Yeah, there's tons of this color left. 4,300 stitches of this left. Yeah, this is a very popular color. I bought this in, geez, I bought several boxes of 12 because they were a little cheaper that way for this, because yeah, like I said, I stocked up and I bought all the thread I needed for like 6 projects at once so that I wouldn't have any dye lot issues. And so yeah, this was one color that I required a whole whack ton of. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to try and keep an eye on that counter to when it hits 24 and a half. I'm guessing around 160 stitches done today. We're at 143. So let's see how close we get. Okay, let's see how long this piece is. If I can carry it over. Oh yeah, definitely. Oops. Okay, 932. Okay. Ah, that did it. So I set around 160 and it was at 159, so that was pretty close. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me today and hope to see you here next time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.